Hello, welcome back. Today I'm going to be going over the best and worst nail polish brands. This is solely based off of my own opinion and experience, and if you guys enjoy this video, please leave a thumbs up. In terms of my evaluation for each brand, I will be showing you 2 to 3 colors. The first one is Zoya. I love this beautiful glitter. It's great as a topper, so you put this on top of any color that has orange reflex or hues, and it's definitely gorgeous. As for other Zoya sub-collections, the Pixie Dust collection, which provides texture, doesn't last as long as the rest of the Zoyas, but the Zoyas typically last about 4 days minimal chipping. As for this beauty, Morgan Taylor has one of the creamiest, most opaque nail polishes I've ever seen. Out of the 12 colors that I've had from just their previous collection in the winter time, I was really impressed with the opacity of every single one of their colors, and they last about 5 days with minimal chipping. As for Nicole by OPI, I've had Nicole by OPI for a while, and I will say the glitters dry out really fast, but the creams and the shimmers are really pretty, and this one in particular is my favorite shimmer. I would say these last about 4 or 5 days minimal chipping, but my favorite thing about this collection, and particularly this brand, is by far the shimmers because they're really unique. As for Orly's, I would say I've had Orly's for one of the longest time now. I would say the most inconsistent thing about Orly's is the opacity, and I really love the lighter colors of Orly, but I would say they chip around 4 or 5 days, so they're good, but definitely not my favorite. As for one of my all-time favorites, Defy Inspire by far, I've had no issue with opacity, and all the colors that I've tried that are creams are really rich in pigment, and a lot of them could pass as one coaters. This one's an example of a glitter, and it's great as a topper, but they have a variety of hues, so with that they last me about 5 days minimal chipping, and I really highly recommend this brand. As for one of the originals, OPI, I made a video comparing the Infinite Shine to the regular OPI brand, and they last about 5-6 days with minimal chipping, and I love the colors that they have in the collection. This one in particular is called You're Such a Budapest, and it is really pretty, especially has micro reflex in it, so it looks nice against the sun. But overall, I do recommend the OPI brand, especially with the amount of colors they have in their collection. As for the next set of brands, this one is Revlon Color Stay. I have several colors in this brand, but these are my favorites, the top coat, and I just picked out this color. I would say these last about 4 days minimal chipping. They're not the best, they're not the worst. I don't recommend them necessarily, but for the price range, they're not too bad. As for one of my favorites, Color Me Monthly is a subscription-based brand in which they deliver a new color every month, and I would say that these are inconsistent in opacity. However, these are really intricately thought out colors, a lot of shimmers, they have holographics, they're very different and gorgeous, and I recommend the brand in general as they last about 5 days with minimal chipping. As for C&E, these are my 2 favorite colors. I would say this would last about 3-4 days minimal chipping, but they are quite thin. They have really pretty colors, but there's not a lot of colors to choose from, so just keep that in mind. For the next set of polishes, we have 786. I got these sent to me, and every color that I tried was really opaque. And this one is my favorite color. It's gorgeous. I would say my main issue with this one is that it's just 10 milliliters and the price I believe is $8 per bottle. I may be wrong. However, they do last about 4 or 5 days minimal chipping, so that is a really good brand to try out. As for China Glaze, I have used these for so many years, and I would say that my main issue with them is that a lot of the formulations are too thin, and because they're very thin, they end up chipping quite faster compared to other brands. But I would say Sinful Colors is one of my favorite drugstore, as China Glaze lasts about 4 days with minimal chipping, so does Sinful Colors, but they're thicker, so they look brighter and they feel smoother on the nail, so I recommend those. Now we'll start off with finger paints. I've had these for so many years. Unfortunately, this is one of my least favorite nail brands. I would say it is really inconsistent in opacity, but this one is a holographic and I love their hollows. They last about 3 to 4 days minimal chipping, so I'm not too impressed by them and I wouldn't recommend them normally to anyone. As for Essie's, oh my gosh, one of my favorite brands. They're very creamy, consistent in opacity. The one thing I don't like is just their glitters, but they tend to last about 6 days with minimal chipping. Then we have L'Oreal. I really love this color. As you can see, I use quite a bit of it, but my main issue again is the glitters or the bottles that have a lot of things in them, a lot of tiny added details. They just clump up together, but they last about 4 days minimal chipping. As for PS, this is a glow in the dark polish, not worth it. It doesn't work and it chips way too quickly. As for Del Sol, I would say this is not worth your money. I believe these are $10.50, but they do shine in the sun and they change color, but they chip really fast because the formulation's too thin. But then we have Sally Hansen. The Salon Manicure one is my favorite out of the Sally Hansen lines. It is more on the thicker side of formulation in terms of tendencies, but this one's my favorite color and it lasts about 4 or 5 days minimal chipping. And I'll show you just how creamy this one is. You can see how thick it is. It's the perfect consistency, so I definitely recommend this sub-brand of Sally Hansen. As for the Insta-Dry, is one of my least favorites as it is way too thin in formulation or way too thick, but they only last about 3-4 days, so I don't recommend them. As for Spa Ritual, I would say I really love the 2 colors I have, but I can't give a great brand review as I only have 2 colors. This one's my favorite one, but this one does last me about 4 or 5 days minimal chipping, so I like that. As for the Nail Aid polish, I did several videos that I do feature this one in. It is very useful for strengthening nails, but it chips really quickly. As for this discontinued line of Formula X, they have a lot of these in Tuesday Morning for $2, and I definitely recommend them if they're only $2. However, there's not enough polish in here to justify the original price, which I believe was $9, and I think this one's way too thin. I have 3 colors, but this one is my favorite. They're pretty, but they chip too fast because of how thin they are, but you just click off the top and you can pop it right back on. And then the last Sally Hansen one we have is the Extreme Wear. I do recommend this line because of how affordable they are, and the colors are really creamy and pretty, so I definitely recommend this, especially for the price. that is all for the video. I hope you guys enjoyed this. I tried to keep things very brief and informational, so if you like this video, please give it a thumbs up, and I will see you guys later.